There is a conversation we often avoid, the role some women play knowingly or unknowingly in slowing down the advocacy for women's rights. As we wrapped up the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, I want to thank everyone who participated, the media houses, advocates, NGOs, and volunteers. Every post, repost, and conversation helped elevate this significant initiative. I especially appreciate the men who joined the movement. However, there's still so much more to be done. And in recognizing that more work needs to be done, I want to speak directly to my gender, the women who knowingly uphold patriarchy and those who unknowingly hinder the progress of feminism. I have seen women ridicule other women while enjoying the privileges that exist only because others before them stood up, acted insane, and fought for those same rights. It's easy to dismiss certain brands of feminism as too loud or too aggressive, but guess what? Those so-called loud feminists are often the ones getting the job done. Even the good book says the violent take it by force. Toning down the rhetoric never got women the right to vote. Silence did not produce inclusion. Aggressive feminism did. I remember discussing period poverty on this table, and two women at the table called my advocacy aspirational and impossible. Ironically, the men present agreed it was doable and even proposed workable solutions. Again, utterances, actions, and inactions. And to those who actively uphold patriarchy, look around you. The same women who force widows to drink the water used to bathe their husbands' corpses are women. The ones who protect abusive men rather than the victims are women. The ones like Dr. Femi Olalele's mother, who defend their monsters instead of feeling empathy for the abused are women. If your motherhood protects only the child from your womb, then you are not a mother. As we close 2025, let's ask ourselves very hard questions. Are you an enabler? Are your good intentions rooted in ignorance or privilege? Do your actions or inactions harm another woman's rights to exist freely? We can all be better if we choose to.
We can all be better if we choose to. Elsie, spot on. The best for the year. The best for the year. I love, love, love. And I'm just going to spotlight what I love most about your monologue, where you said toning down.
Did not bring about changes.
Yes. Toning down the rhetorics never got women the right to vote. Silence didn't produce inclusion. I love your take on women violence, because while you are there advocating for the best, there are women pick-me's who are busy pulling down. And I just like that you spotlighted this without those of us who are feminists who say loudly that we're feminists. And I always say that we're not man-haters.
Nope.
It's that we are fighting for inclusion and equity. And I think you said it all. There is nothing to add. Just an appeal to women who pull down other women to please understand what this is all about. If some of us don't fight for this, there will be no privileges for the people behind to enjoy.
I once asked this question, and I'm going to repeat it. I said, how many women would report their husbands
Remy,
if
amazing.
they found out that the man was abusing their house up or their daughter? Unfortunately, silence was the feedback I got. So it tells you that sometimes it's easy to say, hey, crucify him when he's another man.
That's right.
But when he's at home, you now know what this is all about. And I'm going to throw this challenge at us. Sometimes when the camera is on, there are things we do. And when the camera is no longer on, there are also things we do. And you pointed at it. When it's your daughter, what would you do? When it's another man or another woman's daughter, what would you do? If you are not consistent, then your feminism is BS. Pardon my French. Am I allowed to speak French?
Yeah. French is a nice language.
So, what you won't take, please don't prescribe it for others. Absolutely. And what you're fighting out there, please continue to fight in-house. In other words, I posed that same question to my wife. Just in case my daughter says, Daddy touched my breast, what would you do? And she just laughed.
Tough, right?
No, she said, what part of your face will I slap first?
That's what your wife said. Nice one.
So to her, it's like, oh, this is a fake human being. This is what you're preaching something else, and you're doing the same thing. You know? So I think we need to internalize this whole thing and be able to rehearse our actions before we are put on the spot, because it might just happen.
I think since 2014, I've been very involved in the 16 days of activism.
Fantastic.
In many ways. Again, there are many men that are in the
mix.
In the whole mix. They don't necessarily are very public about what they do, but they do what they do. I've been very involved since 2014. I remember after the Chibok girls stuff.
Abduction.
This year, I was in Abuja when we launched the Humanity Index, which is Nigeria's foremost gender-based violence prevention and response database. I'm on the board of the organization, and so it's a lot of work that we do every year in trying to churn out the data. And so there were many data that came out, so it's through there we know that a significant part of gender-based violence is intimate partner violence.
Yes, that's it.
And many other things. But there was a particular set of data that got my interest. And two sets. One was that 6 out of every 10 Nigerians have never heard of anybody being convicted
for
GBV.
For GBV.
And 1 out of every 2 Nigerians are not even aware of GBV laws. Now, I asked myself why. Why is that the case? Because that's my own approach to dealing with issues. I always like to look at, so away from the emotional reactions, what is there? And then the data also provided it that the average spend on GBV in all states in Nigeria is, not even the average spend, the average allocation is 0.6% of the budget. In fact, the reality is that there's a higher allocation in northern states than in southern states.
Okay.
All right, on GBV. And when you look at the spend, that's just allocation. When you look at the spend, it comes down to 0.2%, which comes down to about 345 naira per person.
Per Nigerian.
Per Nigerian.
345 naira?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what that tells me...
Is it per year or per day?
Per year.
Per year.
Okay.
So what that tells me is this. There's a gap. People don't know about the GBV laws.
Yeah.
People don't know about
implications, penalties.
The penalties. People don't even know those who are convicted. A lot of the noise we are making are just social media noise, and it's just within
the
1 or 2 million
community
people.
of activists.
Yes,
and
it's not getting out.
Yeah.
So the question for me is, how do we get it done? So for me, my approach is not outrage. When we are trying to solve this problem, we have to look at all possibility. Okay. And one of the biggest possibilities, one of the biggest things narratives we have to look at is how do we bring more men to the table to have this conversation. Yeah. I feel that a rhetoric or outrage or whatever that basically puts men as villains, the same men that are going to approve the budget, that are going to approve a lot of things, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I think that to a large extent, we have to look at this not from a gender perspective, in terms of men or women. We have to look at it purely from a perpetrator versus victim, because the perpetrators and victims are gender neutral. They are from everywhere, and we must not make this whole conversation a woman's issue, because by that gender coloring itself, even though it appears that the data says that more women are affected, we are, by that in itself, negatively impacting their advocacy. So that's my perspective. It's not. I don't say that it's the way it must be, but that's the way I see it, and I believe that we have to move this needle forward.
Yeah.
We have to confront that perspective.
In Nigeria, where patriarchy rules, tone down nothing. I'm sorry. Women have been at the receiving end of so much. You don't even want to have an inkling of what is going on. Tone down nothing. Because when it comes to things of women, most men, I'm not going to generalize, or some men, they just can't be bothered, cannot be bothered. And then we have women who support them in these evil practices. I just want to, this Ochanya, I'm sorry, I've left Tinka, I'm not dealing with feminism. I believe that women who support evil against other women and children should be persecuted, should be sent to jail. We have Felicia,
special treatments against those women.
No, they must be equally treated like the man who committed the act. I'm sorry, you gave him the avenue. So Felicia Gbajua, that Ochanya's auntie, she must be in jail. Femi Olaye's mom should be locked up for a few months because of her age. Let her cool down. Anybody that is female in his family that supported him should, let me tell you, you gave access, you condoned it, and it wasn't his first time. Thank you, Elsie. I owe you a bottle of champagne for that. Because they condoned it all this while till he became this monster, which I refuse to call him, and then you become
and you start attacking everybody that's trying to get justice.
Because if only you ladies, women, had told him it's wrong. We too are women, and it's like kidnapping when it happens to people in the National Assembly and Senate. Then they start opening their eyes. Wow, we have to protect our family in the village. We have to. You people will not take notice until they rape your child and sexually abuse her. That's when you people take these things seriously. Let's be human.
Like Kingsley, I say it all boils down to our individual choices. What about you?